At least 6 people have been killed and 32 others injured by gunfire in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. It began during a protest by the Shia Muslim group Hezbollah and Amal against the judge investigating 2020's huge blast at the city's port. They said Christian snipers from the Lebanese forces LF faction fired at the crowd to drag Lebanese into strife, a claim denied by the LF. Huge tension surrounded the probe into the port explosion that killed 219. Hezbollah and its allies claim the judge is biased, but the victims' family supports his work. No one has yet been held accountable for the August 2020 disaster, in which swaths of the city were devastated. In response to the Thursday 27 October shooting, some of the Lebanese worst violence in years, Prime Minister Najib Mikati announced a day of mourning the next day. Meanwhile, President Michel Aoun said, "We will not allow anyone to take the country's hostage to their own interest." What began as a protest outside the Palace of Justice, the main court building, by hundreds of people arguing the investigation, had become politicized and demanding the removal of Judge Tariq Bitter escalated remarkably quickly. Heavy gunfires erupted in the streets as the crowd passed through a roundabout in the central Tayone Badaru area. Local residents had to flee their homes, and school children ducked for cover under their decks as men aimed with automatic rifles and rocket-propelled grenade launcher believed to have been members of Shia and Christian militias exchanged fire in the streets. The clashes continued for several hours before calm were restored. At a nearby school, teachers instructed young children to lie face down on the ground with their hands on their head. Hospital and military sources said some of those killed were shot in the head. They included a woman who was hit by a stray bullet while inside her home. Hezbollah and Amal accused a staunch opponent, the Christian Lebanese Forces Party, of being behind the attack on the protesters. Lebanese army soldiers and ambulances rushed to the scene after the gunfire erupted. The two Shia organizations said demonstrators were subject to an armed attack by a group from the Lebanese Forces Party that deployed in neighboring streets and on rooftops and engaged in direct sniping activity and intentional killing. Lebanese Forces leader Sami Giargia condemned the violence and appealed for calm. The army said it has deployed troops to search for the assailants and warned that they would shoot at any gunman on the road. Earlier on Thursday, 27 October, a boss dismissed a legal complaint brought by two former government ministers. A court dismissed it, and Amal MP Ali Hassan Khalil and Ghazi Zaita, whom Judge Vita had sought to question on suspicion of negligence in connection with the port explosion. The two men, who denied any wrongdoing, accused the judge of bias. Families of the victims has condemned the complaint, which causes the probe to be suspended for the second time in 3 weeks. They have accused the country's political leadership of trying to shield itself from scrutiny. The port blast happened after a fire detonated 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate, a combustible chemical widely used as agricultural fertilizer that has been stored unsafely in a port warehouse for almost 6 years. Senior officials were aware of the material's existence and the danger it posed, but failed to secure, remove, and destroy it. Now, this blast has caused serious tension between the Christian, which is the LF, the Shia, and the Sunni Muslims, causing into two factions. There's the Christian and the Sunni Muslims as one, and Shia, which is majorly Hezbollah, as another, causing serious tension in Lebanon.